Order. Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Yes, adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 17, 2024, and was posted at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, SA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Would you please all stand and join with me in a pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mary? Here. Councilmember Di Benedetto? Councilmember Higgins?
Here.
Councilmember Sparta?
Present.
Council President Rizzuto?
Here. This evening, we have a item for discussion on our agenda concerning food trucks, peddling and soliciting and peddlers and hawkers. I think we had a previous discussion regarding soliciting. Position that I read from the council at that point was that we felt that the community would appreciate our eliminating the issue of having solicitors approach their homes on a basis, and that this should be reflected in our actions. And we discussed that.
After our meeting.
Yeah.
Last week, there was a particular company that had put in an application for a license. And I think we all had instances where they started soliciting without approval. And it seemed like they were like, they had this like swarm kind of business
Yeah, right.
model
Mhm.
where they sent out, 20 different guys to various neighborhoods in our community. And I don't think anybody that I talked to or anybody that, other council members talked to appreciates strangers knocking on their door. Nobody, the days of the traveling salesman selling vacuum cleaners or encyclopedias is gone.
Yes.
I'm comfortable with not permitting it in our town.
Dr. Sparta?
I'm fine with having a no solicitation for our community.
Mr. Higgins?
Yeah, it makes sense. Nobody wants people to sit at their door. Different story than food trucks and things like that. It's a whole different discussion. Like going around to your door and knocking, it's not acceptable.
The only question I have is, we're gonna have a no solicitation ordinance. What happens when somebody starts knocking on a door? Who's going to go up and issue the fine? Or is it a police issue? Is it a zoning issue? Who is it?
I would ask her.
Yeah, so what it would be something, first of all, would require somebody to complain,
Yeah, to notify us.
like anything else, I assume, if the police officers happen to see somebody, maybe they would. But generally, it's gonna require somebody to complain. And it would be a municipal, in the ordinance that prohibits it, you would have, like everything else, you have municipal ordinance that says it's essentially it's disorderly persons type offense, with a fine range on a certain range. So if it happens one time, it's, depending on what you've all said, but typically for a municipal violation, it's probably a low end of like $50 or $100 or something. What, so you can. Sorry. Yeah, hopefully that's, if this is on or not, but, you would have a fine to it, and that the municipal judge, assuming there's a ticket issued, would look at. The issue that we would have to craft, though, would be to make sure that in your ordinance that we probably want to tweak it in a way so that it's clear that it's either commercial of some sort. As an example, if somebody was a Girl Scout was selling Girl Scout cookies, you're not necessarily, we have to you know, some nuances to it.
Well, nonprofits like charities,
Right, yeah,
nonprofits.
so we can play with the language that
Okay.
when you have something, you know, that you know, look at, you all can then talk about the actual language to make sure you're covering who you want or not covering, you know, there's
Mhm.
I don't believe you can prohibit political door knocking, you know, so that's it, that's a,
Yeah,
you know, First Amendment issue, so, you know, you can't prohibit candidates from knocking on doors, regardless of, like, right now, if you go to knock on doors, you don't have to get a solicitation
Mhm.
permit type of thing, so, but answer the question, the fines would be set in the ordinance, somebody would issue a complaint, police would come out, they issue a ticket, they come to municipal court, and
Okay, next question would be, so a complaint has to come from a citizen. Does the citizen have to be the signing complainant?
no, so it works like anything else. I mean, I say it has to. If a police officer is in town and sees 25 people in the neighborhood, police officer can pull somebody over and, you know, say, hey, you know, you soliciting, you know, we have non-solicitation here. And just like anything else, if you call the police for something, and the police come, if the police are usually the one to issue the ticket.
Okay.
Now, from a practical standpoint, if it was ever to go to trial,
Mhm.
well, then the witness may have to show up.
Can a ring camera be used in that situation?
Yeah, it gets.
Because a lot of times I think, you know, look, our police have a lot of things to deal with and,
Yeah.
you know, going after a solicitor, if something's going on, I would tend to think it's a little bit lower on the list, but.
Yeah, so I think from a practical standpoint, like anything else, right? If we were to go through your ordinances, there's probably a host of things within your municipal code that the police or a citizen could be issuing complaints for, but they're not. They're not because it's either not occurring or it's, you know, if somebody is the lesser stuff, it's only really gonna happen if
Mhm.
it's a problem, right? Even if you saw somebody that was soliciting, they might just say, hey, you can't do this, get out of here. If you come back again, we're gonna,
Okay.
like, speeding ticket. So
yeah.
the
what could we-
police have discretion on how they do it. The municipal court has discretion on how they do it. And of course, you all have discretion in terms of if it becomes an issue.
Mhm.
I don't think it will be, but if it became an issue where, you know, court's getting flooded with these things and you say, this is a
Yeah.
problem, you could come back and tweak your own ordinance on how to do it.
What could you just do, you know, the first offense, the warning? Right, because you don't want to clog up the police time, the court time, trying to collect, and then, you know, and then if there's a second instance with the same company on record, and then you go into a fine.
The other thing that you can do, and I can work with municipal court on this too, is if you have a set fine in your code, first offense is $50. In most instances, if that's the case, somebody can just pay it. You don't have to come to court.
Right.
When you have to come to court, when it's a range, first offense is
Right.
$50 to $200 because the judge has to set the fine. You don't get to pick what to pay.
Mhm.
So one option would be to say, hey, for the first offense, whatever number you pick, it's a set fine. And then that person can decide if they get a ticket, do they want to come to court and fight it, or they just say, hey, it's,
Yeah.
you know, and then there's just policy discussion there. If the fine is too low, there could be businesses that say, we're gonna do it anyway because it's worth it to do. The flip side is the higher the fine, the more likely are people are gonna come to court to fight it, because if it's a $500 ticket, it might be worth my time to sit in court and argue about it. If it's $25, it's, you know, I don't wanna do it. So, but we can, if the direction of the council, which is what I'm hearing, is to proceed to, you know, prohibit the door-to-door solicitations, then we can put together the language and then, you know, provide a draft that everybody can tweak it and give input, and we can talk about, you know, what the consensus is on how aggressive on fines, what the language is, and make sure that it passes muster so that if you are, if you're ever challenged over it, that it complies with, you know, First Amendment issues. No one's challenging you on that stuff.
So
If they are, you can beat it.
why don't we do that then? Let's arrange to have a draft of the
Yeah.
ordinance, you know, prepared for us, and
Yeah.
we can, is it too soon for our next meeting, first meeting in August?
For me, always not, that's true.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and we'll see what, look, sometimes, you know, we can look at what other towns do. We always have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
On it, and, but we'll take a look. We'll give you something to look at, and, we'll provide it to you in advance of the meeting. So if anybody has any, you're prepared to talk about it. If you have any comments or questions, we can work through it and, get something that you're all happy with.
Good, thank you.
It seems like a lot of other towns, because the clerk, Marcia, did provide other towns, and a lot of them bundled in food truck vendors with their peddling and solicitation.
Right.
We don't have a food truck
Ordinance.
ordinance, and I think
It's
we
in-
should. Yeah, I think we should. I think it's something that is really popular. It's beneficial to, certain types of businesses. So that's, a separate, I think it should be its own ordinance, because if there's tweaks that need to be done, then they're not combined. I don't see them as being a combined ordinance.
It's included in our peddlers.
But I think pulling
But
it out,
I
yeah,
agree with you that I think the concept of food truck versus peddlers
different, yeah.
is a different situation.
What we can do is, we can provide two different ordinances, but the ordinances may ultimately, assuming they both pass, could ultimately be in the same section of your code. It's just,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that way you can all vote and deal with different issues separately to the extent that there's different discussion on it.
Yeah,
We typically have your codes organized and provide you with a model,
Okay.
there too.
Does anyone have any? Would anyone like to elaborate more on the food truck issue, or want to wait for the draft and discuss it at that point?
I think, the draft. we can
Okay,
discuss.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And I think, just so I'm clear, with the food trucks, the issue is, we just want to make sure that there's some regulations in the code. It's
Right.
not prohibiting
Yeah,
them.
no, we don't, no, we don't
It's-
want to prohibit
Right,
them at
we are
all.
looking
No.
to make sure it's permitted, but within,
Reason.
within reason.
Yeah,
So,
within
However, there is one thing that I would like to bring out. Food trucks to me are vehicles that drive to a particular area either on invitation or because they're enabled by virtue of other ordinance that is superior to ours. If they go to a facility that is a private facility on an invitation from the owner of that facility and stay there for the evening or for the engagement, period, and then drive take the truck and drive home. That's one scenario. But then there's another scenario that you could that has to be considered, where the truck goes there and at the acquiescence of the owner is stationed there as basically a parked vehicle. And at night, at the end of the day, when business hours are complete, the owner of the food truck leaves it there and drives home in another vehicle. However, so now we have two different ones. Which one of those, or does both of those, you think would require a site approval plan by our land use?
So the ordinance would cover both. And usually when we talk about food trucks, you're talking about the mobile or temporary
Right.
food truck. So the food truck wants to set up shop somewhere permanently or for an extended period of time. That wouldn't be permitted, and ultimately they would need the site plan approval if they're setting up a restaurant.
Is that like a
in
hot
town.
dog stand that's always parked on this one?
Correct. So
Yeah.
there's two different scenarios. One is somebody who comes and goes at night, but they're there every day. They come to the same place
Repetitive.
every day, all day long. Local hot dog
Yeah.
truck that just makes its home there.
Mhm.
The others would be like when I went to Rutgers, I remember the Rutgers, the grease trucks that were trucks, but they didn't move at the top, well, parking lot when I was there. Now it's buildings, but they were stationed there. They were trucks, but I don't even know if they could move. Rutgers, I guess they could, but so, but just like at the Andover ordinance that you have in front of you has language in there that says, hey, if you're gonna be there, you can only be a certain number of times per year or
Right.
things like that. So none of these ordinances always capture every scenario. The trick is to make sure we capture the most likely ones. And then if somebody pops up and they're a problem, we can always address it if we need to, if somebody's trying to find a loophole that we don't like.
Okay.
But generally would be, hey, you
Yeah.
can come. If you're gonna come, you can stay a certain number of times a year, certain number of hours, but you can't set up a permanent restaurant in town without
Yeah, I
having
mean,
their proper site plan approvals and everything.
and I think, quite honestly, I would like to make sure that what we don't do is damage our existing restaurants and their businesses by being too, I guess maybe too lenient, if you want to look at that. These people who have restaurants or delis or whatever spent a lot of money trying to build up their business, and I would like to make sure that those businesses aren't injured, but yet there are occasions when people can't transport their goods, but maybe a food truck can satisfy a particular need for a certain number of times a year, or day, or whatever, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples of this. We'll be able to get you some language. Same thing. We'll get you some language. You can look at it. We can talk through what our office recommends, and then obviously you all can make some policy decisions about different aspects of it.
Any other comments?
No, I'm good.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Mayor. Please.
Yes, sir. Good evening. So, thank you, Council President. I want to first begin by reading a press release. On June 20th, 2024, Corporal Steve Beto of the Vernon Police Department was off duty and boating on Greenwood Lake in West Milford Township. In the afternoon hours, Corporal Ravetto was in the general area of a nearby boat which had a group of young adults aboard. One of the young adults, an 18-year-old male, was in the water and struck by his own boat's propeller. This caused a serious life-threatening injury to his leg, including broken bones and a significant laceration with heavy bleeding. Corporal Rivero immediately took action and responded over to assist him. Corporal Rivero called 911 and relayed all vital information to the West Milford dispatcher to initiate an emergency services response. Corporal then boarded the young adult's boat and utilized his training and experience to improvise a tourniquet out of rope that he found on the boat, which helped to control the bleeding. Corporal Rivero accompanied the young adults boat to the nearby marina and met with first responders. Corporals provided incident details and responding police officers to assist with their investigation. The 18-year-old male was medevaced to Hackensack University Medical Center, where he received life-saving medical treatment. We applaud Corporal Beto for his leadership role and his actions during his off-duty incident in another jurisdiction. So, job well done. So, they say that a police officer, being a police officer means you're always on duty, and Corporal Rivero has proven this testament to be true. And the microphone just went out.
No, but I know, because of the.
We lost something.
All right.
Put them back on, they were staticky, I have to
Play
turn
with
them on
it.
and off.
Can you hear- Okay.
On my phone.
So we're gonna have to.
Talk loudly.
Talk
Right.
No, they're back on.
Oh, are they?
Okay, here we are.
Test. Test,
Nope. Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Nope.
test,
I mean, I like
Lights are
on.
on, yeah.
test. There we go.
Take a little while to kick.
Last week, I swore in Vernon's next police officer, Robert Bauman, who was surrounded by his family members, girlfriend, and many members of our police department. And I believe he started the academy today. And after graduation, he will appear before the council for a ceremonial swearing in into the public. So we wish him the best of luck and support in his journey. I want to thank the council for restoring the Historical Preservation Commission. This commission should have never been abolished. Preserving history is paramount for our township. I am also working with the Historical Society on returning many of our township artifacts to be put out on display where it belongs. I just want to be clear that these artifacts are owned by the Historical Society, which they have been tirelessly working on preserving these artifacts. So moving forward, I want to put several members who applied to the Historical Preservation Commission into the record. And they are Jody White, I may screw up the name, so I do apologize. So, Jody White, Ursula, Ariel, Lazo, Lisa Ann Van Blarcom, Perunian, and Cynthia Bogdan. In addition to the Historical Preservation Commission, we also revived the Arts Advisory Committee, and would like to put these applicants' names into the record. They are Brianne Valentino, Timothy Oldmixon, and Bruce Young. Now, when I ran for office, some of the issues I said I would do, and this is a page out of my campaign website, and you could see it for yourself. And I quote, invest in revitalization downtown Vernon to make it more attractive for business investments. Also, encourage and promote fundraising campaigns to fund projects that will not cost the taxpayer money. With this being said, we have collected through donations a huge portion of the needed funds to make our township a bit more attractive. Businesses are investing. People want to see our town center area improved. So thank you to all those who have donated money. I also mentioned in my campaign that I would quote, focus on core infrastructure projects like road repair and water sewer upgrades. Tonight's council meeting agenda has a water expansion agreement. This agreement is for the approval of Viola to expand its water franchise into our town center and to the Ryan Homes project. I'll also lay out the road paving schedule towards the end. And again, I hate to repeat myself again, but this was another campaign promise that I quote, encourage the development of more housing in zoned areas and office space to diversify the tax base and increase ratables, which are extremely important means of EDUs for our sewer. One last campaign promise I mentioned a quote, encourage community engagement through town hall meetings and social media to gather input on tax assessment methods. We have already had our town hall meeting on assessments, but one of the things I was talking to council president about was sometimes it's hard for people to come down to the municipal building. So I decided to go on the road and come to you and have these discussions. I think it's very important that everyone understands the tax reassessment program and what its good and bad points are. I will be at the Highland Lakes Clubhouse on August 20th at 7 p.m. to talk with residents. I hope to be scheduling these discussions in other areas in Vernon. Again, another page out of my website is to utilize the full potential of our current and future municipal employees. While saving the life is an investment, we can never put a price tag on. Myself and 40 employees will be taking the AED CPR training. This training will be conducted by our very own Kevin Duffy. So I'm looking forward to that. Right, 40 people?
Yes.
Yeah. On June 26th, we had our Senior Olympics, which was a lot of fun. Proud to say that Vernon took the silver this year. Montague taking the gold and back on with the bronze. Council President, aren't you participating next year? You said you were participating.
Excuse me?
The rumor was you were participating next year.
That was what it was, a rumor.
Right, we look forward to it, hold you to it. Other topics worth mentioning in the Gypsy Moth issue, we have submitted a request for a survey to be conducted by the DOA, Department of Agriculture. It's pretty evident that we'll be spraying next year and hopefully we'll be receiving funding to offset these costs. So speaking of funding, we received our grant writer portal access and login accounts today, so we can begin looking for all the available funds out there available to us. So be happy to share with the council if they would like an account to log in, see what's out there, see if you guys can cherry pick. And again, please let me know who wants access. Also on the 4th of July, I have met with Joe Hession. For those who don't know, Mr. Hession, he's the owner of Mountain Creek. So I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Hession for not only holding this event, but purchasing all the fireworks, staffing this event, the bounce houses and games, et cetera, and then donating all the proceeds to the Vernon Township Fire Departments. So that's, I think, now.
That is really great. You know, people do not understand the risk, the absolute risk that our fire departments underwent when they decided to have fireworks as a fundraiser. The fireworks needed to be purchased at a very early date. So the money was laid out and you had to pray for a clear day, and a wandering thunderstorm came over and your attendance was down to almost nothing. You did nothing but swallow the cost of those fireworks, and I don't think they kept very well. So it was a tough decision for many of the firehouses to say that they simply couldn't accept the risk anymore because it drained them. And I'm so happy that Mr. Hessian did this, and I applaud his actions, and I'm sure the firehouses will appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree. So Mr. Hessian and I, it was actually his birthday that day, so it was good to catch up with him, and we talked about one of the things that was pretty cool was where he was. It was a balcony that got to kind of overlook the whole field where everybody was, and he was like, "Come here, man." It's like, look at this. Isn't this awesome? And it was just the whole community just coming together and just celebrating the 4th. And, you know, we talked about how important the 4th of July is between, you know, not only for our country, but for Vernon. So I said, you know, one of the things, you know, our Memorial Day parade was, unfortunately, we expected rain. We don't have anything for Flag Day. We don't have anything for 4th of July. So, Joe Hessian and I decided that, well, we've discussed that maybe Vernon should have a 4th of July parade. So I think that's something that we're gonna kick off. And I'm gonna need a committee to help with this. So that can help our rec department and rec board help put this together. So so this could be actually a reality next year. And who knows, maybe we can bring the parade right into Mountain Creek since he's going to be having the firework event. So, but we'll plan that. And I know Chief Young and DPW Director Ed Bedcock is probably watching this right now. So gentlemen, you may want to hit the pause button and grab a cocktail too, continue watching this meeting. So if the parade wasn't enough, I had a discussion with the owner of the carnival and asked to have this come to Vernon, and he has agreed to it. But we will need to lock the date. This date will need to be obviously okay with the Board of Ed and Vernon Township and the other officials. But the only requirements the carnival had, which seems very simple, was a field and water spigot. Like I said, it sounds easy enough, but this is a huge undertaking because we will probably need help from the state and county folks as well, because this will be a long stretch for our local police department and other departments to cover these several days. And I noticed when I was at the Warwick Carnival, Warwick had their state police there and the sheriff's department assisting. So this may require, again, like I said, another committee that can assist our rec department and rec board with the planning. I'm sure my friends at the county and the sheriff's office will be happy to assist. Now, I remember hearing about all the memories that the carnival in Highland Lakes brought to so many people each year. Not to mention, this is also a huge revenue maker for our first responders. So it just, you know, not only was it a huge revenue maker, but it's most importantly, it brings the community together, like the success of the car show. So hopefully we can make all new carnival memories going forward. And finally, our road work is set to begin, which I'll post the schedule. The schedule that I have in front of me it's a tentative schedule. And I'll just go through it real quick. And again, like I said, I'll post the schedule. So Cliffwood Lake roadways, Grandway Terrace, Green Tree Road, Lakeview Road, West Lakeview Road, Paradise Trail, South and Sunset Terrace. July 15th through July 16th will be the milling date. And July 17th to the 18th will be the paving date, so please keep your cars off the roads. Lake Conway roadway is Mountain Lane and North Meadows Lane. July 16th and 17th is the milling. July 18th through the 19th is the paving. PVL roadways, East Shore Drive, West Shore Drive, North Shore Drive, South Shore Drive, Valley View Road, and Tulip Road. July 18th through the 22nd is the milling, and July 25th, 26th, and July 29th will be the paving. Margaret Lane, July 23rd is the milling, and July 29th is the paving. And Maple Grange Parking Lot, July 23rd and July 24th is the paving. So that is my report today, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you be able to please post those paving dates on our website?
Will do.
May I have a motion to open the floor for public comment?
So moved.
Seconds.
Moved by Mr. Higgins, seconded by Mr. Sparta. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The floor is open to the public for comment. Should anyone wish to comment on agenda items only at this portion, please come to the podium and give us your, be happy to hear from you. Seeing no one, oops, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Larson from Glenwood. I'll be very brief. I just have a couple of questions. If somebody could help me in reference to the Viola expansion. Where does this water actually come from? Like, did we do any kind of a study that says how many gallons or how many homes and so forth that can sustain? Is there something like that on the record?
Yeah, and the DEP also gets involved with that too. And
Okay,
they do all their studies, so
and they checked it all out?
absolutely, yes.
Okay, and so who pays for these pipes that are getting laid?
These pipes are being paid by, I think we are, but part of the development, but it's the developer ends up paying.
He's getting charged,
Yeah, he's,
because that was my concern. Okay.
and we have that secured by,
It's AARP money.
Yeah,
yes, right, and
AARP?
Yeah.
American,
American Rescue Recovery.
yeah,
Not the same.
ARR.
I'm looking for, okay, all right. And so it's not, is Veolia a for-profit corporation or not for profit?
Profit.
Profit, it's a
The water-
large water company.
One of the largest water companies around.
Yeah, that's what I was just confirming, because I was kind of puzzled that I thought we were paying for it. Okay. And I gotta say, the July 4th parade sounds like a wonderful idea. I mean, when we grew up as kids, everybody looked forward to the parade for Memorial Day where I grew up, but I think it's a wonderful idea. So thank you for that. That's it.
thank you.
Or anyone else? Not, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor to the public.
Moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Sparta. Is there a second by Mrs. Materi? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All members of the council have received copies of the bills list. Anybody has any questions as to a particular item, if they'd like to raise it? I saw one substantial one and I thought I'd ask it. Check 61,972 for 69,000 and change. For Capola. What was?
That is, I don't know if you can hear me. I have a big mouth now. That's for the pump station too.
Okay,
I had a,
that's for the replacement of the,
That is all part of that.
all part of that whole thing.
Yes, and that part of it in general was the electrical installation was complete and that was the breakout for that.
Okay. I can tell you that the generator was finally received, so that'll be moving along. Anyone else?
yeah, I had a question for the 61994 Patsy Cline musical. What's that for?
That would have been with the recreation for the seniors.
Oh, okay. It just says general under the description. So I figured it was the seniors, but it doesn't say that. Okay. But it didn't get charged back to the senior trust. Like, 'cause there's other senior expenses on here, then there is a note saying it's charged to senior trust. I guess that one.
I think it all goes back to the,
They might not have just put that in.
Oh,
but I'm not
Yeah.
positive. I would have to check.
yeah, I'm curious, yeah, because there's like the memorial bench, it says Charged Recreation Trust, and there's the exercise program with,
I'm sure the people paid.
They pay for it.
oh, they paid
Yeah.
for it. Oh, okay,
think
all
They
right.
did, yeah.
I think the general central checking is just the title of on top of the line. I don't think that has
Oh,
anything.
yeah, you're
to do
right,
with
it
that.
doesn't, yeah, but it doesn't say senior at all, it just says Hunterdon Hills Playhouse. Okay. I had a quick question on them.
Anyone else?
Yes, on 61982, Tina, there's 134,000 for various lease for various vehicles. And one of those is it says build outs through enterprise for 68,000. What's build outs for enterprise mean? Please.
I'm thinking that I'm not positive, but I would think that the build outs would be the equipment going into the cars that are leased for like the police department.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And also the trucks where they have to put on
Right.
accessories.
Yeah, like the DPW trucks, any kind of extra equipment that has to go on. That would be all included in the build outs.
Oh, okay. And then another one, 61991, Hampton RV sales. We rent a trailer from them, or we're buying trailers for the road department, or?
I think that was one of the trailers that we just purchased under our budget. That was approved through the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, we did. I have a quick question about the door. I know those doors are supposed to be replaced and I see we had an emergency door repair. So,
That was the senior one
oh,
downstairs.
that was a senior one downstairs. Okay, so when are we getting those?
They're waiting on the actual pieces to come in.
Okay,
And once they do, they're gonna.
okay, all right. I was wondering if that was a repair for that, but okay.
No.
All right, that was all I had.
Other quick one, 62016. It's for our auditing company, the auditors.
Yes,
So we paid them $40,500 for the audit. And they're the same company that does just about every town, and it's like.
yes.
Is there any competition to them? Do we ever advertise for auditing firms, or is it an automatic renewal?
I do not know. I would have to find out for you.
Yeah, it'd be worth looking into. And it's, no one has a monopoly.
I've looked into that. And part of the problem is that all of the records, once you start with somebody new, you immediately have to be, that person immediately has to be brought up to date. All records have to be transferred and it becomes an expense unto itself. For whatever good.
And we probably have a contract with them too, so I don't know how long that contract goes for.
Yeah, if you could just look into it, I'd be curious to see, what our options are. It's always good for competition.
Other questions?
Nope, not for me. That's good.
Moving along. Approval of minutes. Members have received copies of the minutes of our meeting of June 24th. May I have those minutes? Have a motion to place those minutes on the floor for consideration or correction? Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to these minutes?
I just made a quick note because at one point I did call for the motion of the second for those ordinances. So
Okay.
Marcy said she could fix that.
Okay.
Make it as is.
Thank you. Anyone else? May I have a motion? I'm sorry, May I have a roll call vote on the minutes?
Yes. Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Consent agenda. Anyone wishing to have any items separated, please let me know and I will separate it. You can vote on it separate.
I have some questions on a few of them, Pat. I don't know.
Which ones?
There's enough.
Sure.
Yeah, 24201,
24201.
24202. 24203. 5.
I have a question on 24-204. We could pull that one out.
Consent agenda, resolution 24-200, a resolution approving a loan agreement with Island Lakes Fire Department. Resolution 24-206, authorize the award of a required disclosure contract with Granicus Compliance Software. Resolution 24-207, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 202 at 39 Schwinn. Resolution 24-208, block 202 lot 39 Schwinn, canceling taxes for totally disabled veteran. Resolution 24-209, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 529, lot 243 Rivera. Resolution 24-210, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 529, lot 243 Rivera. Resolution 24-211, block 529, lot 243 Rivera, canceling taxes for totally disabled veteran. Resolution 24-212, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 327, lot 5, Cova-Gomez. Resolution 24-213, totally disabled veteran, block 327, lot 5, Cova-Gomez. And finally, resolution number 24-214, lot 327, lot 5, Cova-Gomez, canceling taxes for total disabled veteran. May I have a motion to place these on the floor?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 24-201, resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $140,000 bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. May I have a motion to have this item placed on the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins.
So my question, yes, so my question was, here's $140,000 bond anticipation. If I'm understanding this properly, the bond ordinance was previously passed, total bond ordinance. And this is an expenditure of $140,000 against that ordinance, is that proper?
If I'm mistaken, it's for refinancing.
Yeah, so it's being rolled over. So it's because the bond ordinance was approved,
Right?
these monies now can go to where they need to go.
Okay, that's what I thought, because it was passed back in 2011.
Right, but so they roll over. So from year to year, so they're paying off that
Right?
with our budget. That just was the bond ordinance that was just passed.
Okay, that answered my question.
And, okay, so, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-202, a resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $6,125,000 bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for
So moved.
moved by Mr. Higgins? Is there a second?
Second.
Sparta. Comments?
Okay, so this was pretty much the same question because this is over $6 million, so it's worth asking the question as to is it a rollover also of a previously passed bond ordinance?
Yes,
Not
and
asking for a new ordinance here.
right, and Danelle actually gave you a list to back up like exactly
In the back.
It's in the back.
Yeah, it's in the back. The improvements that's actually incorporated into that.
Right. And then when I read Danelle's statement, I guess she assumed I know what BAN means.
What?
Bond
Bond anticipation notes.
On anticipation note, okay. Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Member Sparta?
Yes.
President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-203, authorizing the Vernon Township Council to approve a person-to-person transfer of liquor license number 1922-33-007-016. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Comment or question on it?
So on this one, we're speaking about a liquor license that someone owns and they're passing it to someone that they know. And it's being charged, it's being sold, being transferred. Is this a normal or is this an abnormal type of,
This is a normal transfer. So either they're renaming the liquor license, or they could be have different stockholders, or there's a couple of different reasons why they would do this, but they didn't
sell it.
sell it.
so if someone owns a liquor license, they can sell it or transfer it
Mhm.
to someone without putting it up for bid?
Right.
Like a town puts out a bid.
It's an asset.
Oh, yeah, no, it's their liquor license. They own
Their
it.
property, as long as it's renewed, they can sell it.
Right.
Okay,
And this one is just strictly for the purpose of changing the name of the licensee. That's all.
The only caveat to that is that any of those sales have to be approved by either you and the state, or some towns have a separate ABC board, but any transfer has to be approved by the state as well as the local entity.
okay.
So,
That's what we're doing here.
right.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes,
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-204, authorizing the application for New Jersey Department of Community Affairs recreational opportunities for individuals with disabilities grant. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration? Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri.
I just had a quick question.
Sure.
So I see we have the matching funds. Do we know what we're gonna buy or where we're gonna put this?
Normally,
Like-
Michelle does this, at, for horseback riding. Or,
Say, disabilities, right?
yeah, that's what she's been doing for the last couple of years.
I think she's gotta change it, right? She gotta change it every year or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, she may be changing it this year to something else.
So we're paying for certain members of the community to do like therapeutic riding with this?
That's what it was in the past. I don't know what
So we
she's
don't know
doing
what
this year.
The whereas says it's horseback riding.
What?
The resolution right now has it for
Yeah.
horseback riding.
It is for a second.
And so forth. Okay, all right. Okay, that was my only question.
Turn them off.
They're on.
They'll kick back on. They take 30 seconds to kick back on.
so the therapeutic riding takes place at a certain venue
Oh, it does say
in
that.
town, is that it?
Well, not in town. Normally, this has taken place at the
Winslow.
Winslow Riding Academy on 94.
Uh-huh.
And they've been active in this for any number of years. It's been very, very helpful for people with
I'm like,
muscular dystrophy or
what are
situations. Good,
what are we doing?
done very well. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes,
Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution authorizing water main extension and system improvements agreement with Veolia Water, New Jersey Incorporated. They have this as a motion to place on the floor.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Sparta.
Sorry, Natalie.
That's okay.
May I have any questions on it?
Yeah, so there's a desired goal of Veola Water to expand the water service. I assume they're gonna be digging wells, unless this source already exists.
Not necessarily. They have existing wells,
Mhm.
but they sometimes have to get approval from DEP to expend the available gallonage. Other times they may have to dig an existing well as well.
So there is water available, even though the rumors were always there's no water coming from where
Right.
the bean is and all the rest of that.
Well, the issue here, I believe, was for
Town center.
town center and the homes,
and the
Mhm,
final-
yeah.
right? And
This is going down 90.
Will serve notices. Will serve as a commitment from Viola saying that they can satisfy the needs of the
Okay,
existing or the requesting agents.
so this project will entail digging up roads, laying pipe, major project.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a business or a residential homeowner on that 94 corridor, and Veola now has the ability to offer you water, and you have a well, can you keep your well, or do you have to tie in?
I hadn't had chance to check with that. I'm sure.
A good question, because we had the same question with sewage.
Right.
We know that if the sewer pipe is there, you have to tie in, but this is water.
Is,
Yeah, I don't know about the water.
If you look at most of the listings on on Exhibit B, you'll see most of them are commercial.
Most, yeah, not all.
There's 4 single-family homes. The rest are office buildings and rest, that most
So what I'm hearing, if it's commercial, they must tie in?
well, the
They
other-
I don't know that yet.
want it,
they
'cause
want that.
they want it, yeah. This
I
is
mean,
the
the-
desire, they want it.
The Ryan Holmes project can't proceed without it.
Right, they would want it.
They would want
Yeah, they all want it.
the plus 55 plus on Omega Drive. They can't proceed without it. As a matter of fact, the ability for us to provide them with sewage and water was a predicate in having them come forward and commit to the project and close the deal.
Well, if you're a business on 94 and you have water, and you already invested in the well, you might want to keep it, if you got no problem.
Yeah, I,
Fine.
with the issues that we experienced with Veolia, when trying to get them to commit for individual businesses that are have their own well, I don't think there's gonna be any problem
Uh-huh.
them being forced to tie in because,
So we as a community would have I guess, split services.
Yeah.
You're required on the MUA, which is controlled through the town, but Veola is the water company. They're not under our control.
Right.
Okay, so it's two different.
issues.
Answered my question.
Thank you. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Um. Resolutions. Moving to our ordinances, we have an introduction of ordinance 24-14, ordinance addressing the Construction Records Clearance Act. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance and place it on the agenda for our next meeting?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. I would ask that people, if you want to look at this, it's a rather straightforward, but giving you time to address any questions. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bushieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes,
Carries.
thank you. Ordinance 24-15, an ordinance amending the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance 24-15? Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Council Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have ordinance 24-16, an ordinance of the mayor and the council of the township of Vernon in the county of Sussex, New Jersey, state of New Jersey, providing for the municipal consent of the township for Veolia Water, New Jersey Incorporated, to provide water services to certain properties identified on Exhibit A, annexed hereto in the township of Vernon for the laying of pipes and installation of other utility facilities as may be necessary. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 24-16?
Moved.
Moved by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Sparta. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Adoption of ordinance 24-13, ordinance of the township of Vernon, county of Sussex, state of New Jersey, addressing taxi cabs / auto cabs. May I have a motion to open the public, open the meeting for a public hearing on this ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Sparta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The floor is open for discussion of this ordinance and only this ordinance. Anyone wishing to come forward, may please do so. If not, I'll ask for a motion to close this meeting to the public. Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-13?
Move.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Sparta, seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Any questions or comments on this?
Yes, I was opposed to this previously, still am. Specifically, yeah, you have Uber drivers, you have Lyft drivers, people who are entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
making $25 an hour, using their own vehicles, servicing multiple municipalities, providing a service. And we have 564 municipalities in the state of New Jersey. If this goes through, those people have to get a license if every town is like Vernon and go around and get licenses to drive their vehicle
Yep.
into the town to pick somebody up.
Yep.
It's just against common sense to me. And
Don't disagree with you.
I'll vote no again.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bucieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins?
No.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. You know, you really want to go down that road, and I've done it too. The issue of we have 565 or 64 communities within the state of New Jersey, and yet there are requirements for boards of education to have individual positions that must be filled, which could be handled by a sharing of services with other communities.
Right.
You wonder why, because it's a number that begins to get very, very costly after a while.
Well, that's proof of the fact of what I'm saying, because now we know that the cost overruns on the Board of Ed are absolutely out of control. This would just,
We're gonna stop right there.
yeah, I know, but you brought the subject.
No, I only did it as a matter of public requirement. Okay, public comments. This is on any item or issue. It's listed, limited to 5 minutes, on any topic. May I have a motion to open the floor to the
I'll
public?
make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Second by Mr. Higgins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Anyone wishing to address the council on any issue? Please.
No, I don't. Good evening, everyone. Sally Rinker, Vernon. Notwithstanding that I prefer to be anywhere else tonight, speaking about anything else, I came tonight to address the ill-willed information I received 2 days ago from the mayor. He stated he performed an investigation about my son, Jason. For those unaware, Jason passed away it's now 3.5 years ago at 45 years old. He perished in a motorcycle accident. The email sent by the mayor is full of misinformation with an attempt to create a false record to try to justify removing my son's memorial monument from the Vernon Pump Track and Park. This mayor's priorities include investigating deceased children of political adversaries. There was and is no more a fitting individual than Jason to be memorialized at this park. From winning a college scholarship for BMX racing at 6 years old, to holding the national record for downhill mountain biking in the over 40-year-old category, an undefeated national record. His skill and devotion to biking was exemplary. As a successful owner of the Ridetopia bike shop here in Vernon for many years, he sponsored young new riders and women teams. In 2016, he approached the township with his plan to build a bicycle pump track at no cost to taxpayers. The location was not approved, so when the pump track was built later by Mayor Burrell, completed after Jason's passing, the biking community appealed to the township to name the park after my son. Though that did not happen, it was agreed there could be a memorial plaque area for him. So with that, my son was known for his admiration of the American flag. And I designed a memorial area with a flagpole, a paver, stone paver apron around that to set the monument on, because after all, it couldn't be just put on the dirt. I also gave money to the town for the cost of the park sign. A verbal contract was entered into between Mayor Burrell and myself on behalf of the town at that time. I proceeded in good faith as agreed. The total cost of the sign, the flagpole, the apron, and monument was approximately $7,000. In November 2023, Mayor Burrell hosted a dedication ceremony for my son Jason at the park. Many attended. Here's what this mayor's so-called investigation failed to show him: that he will never hold a candle to my son, who I came to know even more at the time of his passing. Over 300 people came to his service from coast to coast and from other countries during the height of COVID. Grown men crying to me how they lost their best friend, and I wondered, who could have so many best friends? My son did. I was told he was the one who was with you because he had your back. He saved a woman from drowning in a riptide down at Asbury Park once. He saw her go down for the 3rd time, and he ran into the water. A 145-pound little guy with a woman twice his size. And she's probably alive today because of my son. Jason's son Tyler was 9 years old when he lost his father. He rides the pump track and has only memories left of his father and the benefit of the continued admiration that my son still gets from this community. And our community ensures yearly memorial events for him. You, Anthony, did this to hurt me.
Please address the council.
When you hurt a child, and you hurt yourself. Your defamatory email full of lies to justify political spite is representative of who you are. You are not ready for accountability, and when it is asked of you, spite and revenge is your reaction. I did not start paying attention to government when this administration started. As a 40-year taxpayer and business owner in this town, serving in public office, and as president of the Vernon Taxpayers Association for years, sponsoring successful petitions, both initiative and referendum, to affect good government, this is not personal. I understand that you would be affected by my stated knowledge
Please wrap up your comment.
of your shortcomings. And no one appreciates your multiple alias attacking residences in the middle of
Thank
the
you very
night on Facebook. We need a mayor who can prioritize important matters and be
Thank you
accountable
very much.
without spite and revenge. I ask that my daughter finish my statement, please. Shannon?
So my question for the attorney is, what becomes of an argument between a citizen and a mayor?
Agreement.
Or agreement between a citizen and a mayor, resulting in monetary outlay by the citizen, only to be undone by the subsequent mayor. In my opinion, the memorial area for my son was taken apart, and by the fact that this mayor chose to keep part of my agreement, flagpole, stone apron, and large sign, but only remove parts for spite, has made a complex issue for the town. Should any citizen feel comfortable contributing to the town when spite will dictate the outcome? Your email maligning both me and my son is only justification for your action in both your mind and perhaps your co-conspirator. No decent person could agree with what you have done. I want to know, what kind of mayor will you choose to be? Will you admit a mistake, an overreaction, and undo this wrong? Or will you think of my son's child who rides the pump track, and me, his sister, who is here tonight, who shouldn't see this memorial gone?
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward?
My name is Krista Gary, and I live in Vernon, New Jersey. I'm here to support Sally Rinker, and my husband would be here in her support too if he were alive, but he's here in spirit. I just want to say on December 1st, 2023, Mayor Howard Burrell and Sally Rinker took part in a memorial service for Jason Rinker at the pump station. A flagpole and a monument were dedicated in his honor by the Rinker family. Jason loved mountain biking and never lost a race, and before his untimely death, managed Ridetopia, a bike shop in our town. It was only fitting to put up a memorial in his honor as his dream of a pump station for the children in Vernon finally became a reality. It is incomprehensible to me as to why this monument and flag were recently removed by an elected official of our town. This had been a tribute and an act of love by a grieving mother to honor her son. And if you haven't gone through grieving yourself, you don't know what a mother would go through losing her son. I don't know what it's like, but I know what it's like to lose a loved one. I don't believe that anyone should have the authority to remove this monument and flag to gratify their own whims. I consider this to be very disrespectful and demeaning to the memory of Jason Rinker and his family. It is moral arrogance to be in judgment of Sally Rinker and her beloved son, Jason. No one should have this right. This is against everything we hold dear in this country. It is against all the principles our country stands for and has fought for. The first three words in our Constitution are "we the people." Those in authority are given their privileges by the people. Sally Rinker has always supported this town, and to see her being treated with such disdain is very upsetting. How can this be rationalized? We should all treat others with love and kindness and respect. This is under God's authority, not ours, not the people, as written in the Ten Commandments. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And I think you should,
Thank you very much.
change what you've done.
Evening, Mayor and Town Council. My name is Jackie Keller. I've been a resident of Vernon I wrote down some things, but I'm not very adept at public.
As you wish.
I've been a resident of Vernon for 26 years. Brought my kids up. I worked for the Board of Education as an aide. Love the community, love people and nature together. Recently, over the past few months, I have a neighbor that is discharging firearms in his backyard. He's shooting handguns. So when I first heard these shots a few months ago, I called the Vernon PD, asked them to check it out. Never heard anything. The shots continued. It's every night with very few exceptions from, say, 5 o'clock to 8 p.m. When the leaves weren't on the trees, I could see this individual shooting a handgun from my deck. Our properties are approximately 150 yards apart. I kept following up with the police saying, this just can't be allowed. I just don't see how this is allowed. Finally, I did get a call back after repeated calls by Corporal Mangano, who told me there is no ordinance in Vernon against this. It's his perfect right to do so. Anyone can fire a handgun in their backyard. So
Certain stipulations on that.
well, I was told, I did speak with an officer recently. He said he went out to the property to look and see where he was shooting. He said he saw something that he thought was acceptable. He has a small berm and he appeared to be shooting downhill. But when I saw this officer again come into our neighborhood around July 4th, because neighbors of mine called the police, this was happening again. It's just repeatedly. The officer told me, oh, it seemed to be acceptable. I said, well, can you tell which direction he's shooting in? Is he shooting toward my house? Is he shooting away from my house? When I saw the individual shooting, he was not shooting down at all. He was shooting straight out. We live off Prices Switch Road. He's very close proximity to Heaven Hill Farm and the Appalachian Trail, where we have a lot of visitors. If anybody drives by 94 at this time of year, it's packed with visitors and hikers and everything from all over. I expressed my concern for visitors. They said, well, it wouldn't be your responsibility if anything happened anyway. The police told me it would be the responsibility of the homeowner. I believe this person living there is not the homeowner, I've been told. But I'm just, and I don't understand if the policeman told me that it seemed to be an acceptable shooting area. Is there some kind of ordinance like, Councilman Rizzuto, you said there are certain stipulations because the police were unable to provide me with any.
No, I'm talking about making sure that the backstop for the spent rounds is acceptable,
Yeah.
that there is a berm. But there are no ordinances that I know of other than proper shooting situations.
Because I feel that the way that gun ownership has evolved, and I'm a registered gun owner. My husband and I, if we want to target shoot, we go to one of the many available ranges in the area to shoot safely and not in the presence of my neighbors. I can't go outside because I'm afraid to take a walk. My dog is on medication usually for fireworks. I have to put her on medication every day now. It's very disturbing, and I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't want to take anybody's rights away. But I feel that individuals' rights are becoming more important than mine, my right to a peaceful existence. And I do believe in everyone to have all the rights they can, except when it starts to infringe upon mine. I don't think that's exactly fair. So I think I will be emailing the clerk and seeing if maybe on the agenda there could be put forth some kind of an ordinance to control this behavior. I think there should be a permit involved if you're going to have shooting on your own property. Maybe someone has to come and inspect the property. Just something to make maybe only certain days or times, not constant shooting, because it's just, I have a very stressful job. I work at a hospital. I drive an hour each way. I love my home. I don't mind the drive because I get home and
Have you tried speaking with him?
no. Actually, I'm afraid to speak to this person because I don't know if this person's even permitted to carry a gun. I was told that, I said I was,
Okay.
I told the officer I was afraid to have a gathering now, to have people outside because I don't feel that I'm.
Is the direction of where he's shooting towards your house or is it towards anyone's house? That's usually what determines.
Well, that's what I asked the officer, which direction is he shooting? And he couldn't tell me. He said, well, I didn't see him shooting at the time. So he couldn't tell me where he was shooting. But I just, oh, sorry. I just feel that, my train of thought, I had a good one coming up too.
I understand where you're coming from on this, but really, we've had previous situations like this. And it's been very, very difficult because of the inability for people to restrict the activity, okay?
But it's not,
I can ask the mayor to speak with the police chief on this.
it's not like we're in Wantage or have multi-acreage. I live in a neighborhood, we each have about an acre and a half, I'd say. But and this guy's property, I can see him from my deck shooting. I don't think that's far. I mean, it's like 150 yards. Hunting season is different, and I know I'm out of time.
Thank you.
Hunting season's different. Shotgun shells don't travel, but a 45 or a 22, which I think this guy is shooting, the bullets can travel.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Evening.
Yes.
My complaint is the same complaint.
Your name, sir?
Edwin Isaacson. All right. I have grandchildren running from my house to their house. We live right next door. And they have these guns constantly going off. And it's not one shot, two shots, it's multiple shots for hours on end. And it doesn't seem to be, well, let's put it this way. This past weekend, it wasn't just this person. It was 3 people. One right by the road on Pricer Switch Road, shooting towards people fishing in the pond.
There were people there and he was shooting towards them.
They were shooting into the field right by the pond. All right. And I didn't get the person that have them come and talk. But that person could have been shot with a little young boy. So I'm frustrated also because I don't want my family injured or killed because some person is not responsibly shooting a gun. And like I said before, it's not one shot, two shots, it's rapid shots, one after another for hours on end. And when we did call this past weekend, that whoever dispatcher or what was on charge must have got pissed off that we were calling multiple times, multiple neighbors calling, that they hung up.
They hung up on you?
They hung up.
Did you get the name of the dispatcher?
No, I don't remember.
What day was this?
The 4th,
All
right.
Time, I'm sorry, what time was that around?
12:30.
Yeah, probably. It was a female dispatcher because she hung up on me also.
So,
Up on you also?
so it's frustrating and I think it should be controlled somehow. Because when I was a young boy, I got a 22 as a gift. I had to have the gun registered. I had to be fingerprinted. I had to be sponsored to get a license. Now, I don't know these people who are licensed or have anything. And also I had to have training. I couldn't just get a gun and take, and shoot. I had to go for,
Firearms training, yes.
yes. So I would like to see something done, whether it goes on a agenda for next month's meeting or something, but it's frustrating. And like I said, I adore my grandchildren. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor, would you look into that?
Yeah, like I said, I think I think all new firearms ID applicants have to go through some kind
I
of,
hear you, Mayor. Use the microphone.
I think all new firearm applicants for a firearms ID card has to go through a training. I think that's a new law that they put in
For
effect.
concealed carry.
Yeah,
No, just, I think that's just for a firearms ID card.
For purchase.
yeah, but
I think that,
Yeah, I'll take a look.
yeah.
The town can't regulate ownership. The state supersedes, so whatever the requirements are to get a gun, own a gun, the town has no ability to supersede that. And put on additional requirements than what the state has. One of the issues that's come up in other towns when it comes to, firearm discharge, there's a state law that generally says that you can't discharge a firearm in an unsafe way. Now, debating what is unsafe way, it may be hard to, it's, subjective in terms of is it safe or not safe. But there is a law there. The other issue, just as an aside, that, discharge of firearms, if it's at late hours, if it's continuous all the time, there could be separate issues with regard to just nuisance. That's something that's already on the books, a disorderly person's offense. Just like you can't play music late at night and disturb all your neighbors with your music, you can't do anything that is going to routinely cause noise. Now, that doesn't mean that if it happens one time or but if it's a continuous thing, there could be other issues that aren't specifically firearm specific that can be used to address a certain problem. I don't know that gets to the heart of the issues being raised right here, but that is something that's on the books now, not firearm specific. If it's a constant noise at different times. But anyway, that's just a.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll look into it and see what can be done. If anything. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I've been a business owner in this town for probably.
Your name, please?
Bruce Campbell. I own Bubba's Texas Wieners at this point. Before that, my wife owned Karen's Country Gifts at 284 Route 94, Bagley, across from where I am. So I'm pretty astute with the laws of the town. The biggest problem I have now, we received a letter about the swoosh flags. And honestly, I thank whoever let it go that long for me without having a problem, because I know they should have been down sooner. I have no problem. My main problem is Wings Asian Fusion has 2 signs on their building. And I cannot have a sign over my store because you're calling it a roof. And it's not a roof, it's a facade. I took up architecture in school. It's over a flat roof. They put a pitch on it just to keep the snow from laying on top. So I don't know how one store can have 2 signs and my store cannot. I had literally had people drive down my driveway. And I don't know if anybody's seen my sign up front. I went to Allison and zoning because I know you have color regulations. I said, here, will this sign pass your ordinances for the town? She was like, the 4-color sign. She's like, it's beautiful. I said, no problem. She's like, no. So I ordered that sign at twice the cost to me, but I wanted to have a nice sign. But I cannot have a sign over. People have driven down the driveway and finally come in the store and said, I didn't know if you were here. I'm driving down, there's no sign over your store. So we're years ago coming to Vernon, it said a business-friendly community. I don't know. I did ask the mayor, when I was looking, when he got on, they were looking for volunteers for different things. I'm a member of the Economic Development Committee in the town. I believe in the town. I believe we can make this a great town for people to come to. But we have to become more business friendly. And hurting a bit, I mean, it hurts my business.
Have you thought about going to the land use board?
I've talked to everybody. The ordinance needs to be changed.
No, the ordinance is there. When you go before the land use board, it's up to them to issue a variance or bring it to the council. The issue that you're talking about is one of the things that we are going to be talking about
Okay.
at a future time.
I mean, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for you to say, yes, tonight, I can go have a sign done.
I would suggest that you go to the land use board.
Well, I've talked to everybody before I even opened, and everybody said there is nothing that could be done. Nobody I could talk to, go to, or do anything
Variance.
without the ordinance being changed. That's what I was told. I'm just telling you what I was told.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, building went through hoops, Allison went through hoops. Everybody tried to figure out, is there a way? And everybody kept coming back saying no. That's all I can say. And I'm just asking for the town to look, because as being part of the Economic Development Committee, we're looking to develop new properties in town.
Sure.
And I'd like to know what I'm able to even say, yes, you can have that. No, you can't have that, for my own personal being on that committee, besides my own business. That's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell, so I think I reached out to Peter Knight about this. And I asked him to check with you about the history of that building. He says, well, you wouldn't know. There had to have been a sign
There,
at one time. But from what I understand, once you take the brackets off.
that's what happened. At some point, they re-shingled the front of it,
And didn't put the bracket.
and they didn't put the brackets back. Because the store was probably empty at the time, and they figured we don't need to put the brackets back because there's nobody in there, but the other two signs were occupied. So they put the brackets back. I have done hours of Google research trying to find a photo of that building going back 50 years, and I can't find
Landlord have anything?
nothing. There is not a photo out there showing that building going back years to show a sign, because that would be, I could just come and say, hey, here's a sign over that building. But I can't find it.
Your issue's on the hopper, so we're looking at it.
That's all I'm asking, because it'll dramatically help my business.
It boggles my, when I see that you don't have one, it just.
I just thank you for listening,
Anytime.
and, you know, believe me, I want to make good for this town. I mean, we have it, Mountain Creek, it's our center stone, but we need to be building. Now we have a Main Street that we're hoping to develop. We have the 55 and over community coming in. There's a lot of things. The thing that upset me today, seeing that Vernon Electric went out of business.
Oh,
You gotta watch
okay.
it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Again,
No,
Oh, sorry. Anyone else?
about another issue.
no.
All right.
Scott Castle from Glenwood, just quick comments, not quite as fiery as all the other ones that we've had tonight, but I wanted to respond a little bit to some of the mayor's comments in the beginning. I wanted to express, I think, how much progress and forward thinking we've been getting so far in his term. Activities like carnival and a parade, which I just heard about tonight. I guess they're just being discussed, but to me, it shouldn't be missed how much positive secondary impact they can have on the town. And I think it's what sets kind of, different towns apart. When you have events like these, you get people from all different towns that come in that may have never come to Vernon, especially because we have no, highway going through, anything like that. And when they come through, it's not only that they're attending the event, but, they might go out to eat. They like the place they eat. They remember that, they come back, they tell their friends, they go to a store, they like the store there, and they just learn about our town, which is not easy for our town because it's not a town that we really, normally drive through. So I just wanted to say that, I think this is more evidence of this mayor thinking ahead, being dedicated to the town, and doing the job that I know I voted for him for. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to come forward?
How's it going? My name's Brad Barlow. I'm a new business owner here in Vernon. I opened up Wheels Up Bikes close to Mountain Creek about 2 months ago. Similar to Mr. Campbell, I got a notice about some flags that were hanging in front of my business. And I guess my complaint is it's a beautiful town that Vernon has. I grew up in nearby Warwick, came to Mountain Creek plenty of times. A lot of the buildings look very residential. So when you do have a business in one of these beautiful residential buildings that do make the town look beautiful, it is kind of tough to attract people to these businesses. So I guess my ask would be, if there's any way that you guys could relook at the ordinance and maybe permit for some more flexibility within signage and particularly flags or things to try to attract attention to businesses within reason.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else wishing to? Just the council.
Hello, Mr. Rizzuto.
Hi.
You may recall me from contractors being open.
Yes.
For everyone else that doesn't know me, my name is Jonathan Hanson, longtime resident of Vernon. I grew up in this town. And I want to speak for the memorial piece that's been removed from the pump track. I just want to bring to light of some of the major milestones that Jason has done throughout his life, supporting not only locally, but on a world level, cycling. One is that I didn't have a father growing up. So Jason took me in as I got into mountain biking, has taught me how to wrench and work on bikes to the point where I have a career in it. I worked for Trek Bicycles, one of the largest bicycle manufacturers for the past 6 years, and now have started up my own private business, Traction Tech Suspension, and working with Brad of Wheels Up Bikes. We're located right next to Mountain Creek. And part of the reason why I feel like why I'm so successful at my business is we're running off of what Jason built of the foundation for us. Jason also had supported the first youth development downhill team here, thanks to Kathy Kraus and my coaching. Kathy is also another local resident, 3-time master world champion in downhill racing. Along with Jason supported Dakota Norton, who is currently sitting 5th in the world rankings for the World Cup overall, and is out in Europe right now, racing out in France. Along with that, when Jason passed away at the Ferguson Funeral Home, we had our memorial ride from the shop to Ferguson. When that ride happened, the director of the funeral home said he has never seen anything of this large of an event for a person like that. And same thing for the Vernon police that were in there that day. Also, when Jason passed away, Hugh Reynolds and Joe Hessian of Mountain Creek contacted me, seeing that I worked there for many years, wanting to know how we can memorialize Jay Rinker. So we have hosted now for the past 3 years a memorial event at Mountain Creek. Inside the Mountain Creek retail store, there is a shirt hanging up honoring Jason Rinker inside that store. Also, when the pump track was being developed, we were talking about possibly naming it after Jay. During that time, I had a petition. I have over 400 signatures and can bring that petition up to here and show it to everyone. I have it stored away safely at home. I didn't think it would be needed once we came to a mutual agreement for a memorial area for Jason. It's still to this day, I wouldn't have the career and the enjoyment I have of being a small business owner now here in Vernon, New Jersey, if it wasn't for Jason. So it's just some of the very small milestones that I know right off the top of my head that Jason has provided. And I very much think he should have a memorial stone at the Vernon pump track.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council?
Council President, Steve Dunlop. Wasn't gonna say anything, but after the last young man that spoke, I felt compelled that I needed to say something. Jay Rickman was a friend of mine. He mentored both of my boys. And when they were in high school, he taught them how to assemble bikes, how to work on bikes. He was good to my boys. I saw how he treated other kids. Like other people, things in his past may not have been the greatest. He smoked marijuana. He had a medical marijuana card. He had some run-ins with the police. I'm sure there's others in this room, many in this town that have as well. He was the one that envisioned the pump track. He did good things for this town and for the kids of this town and was well respected at Mountain Creek. I believe what our mayor did was a tit for a tat. Mrs. Rinker's not been kind to him since he became mayor. And I know they've had their head-to-head issues. My dad always used to say something to me. He said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I would hope that somebody or some group of people from this council could sit down and counsel the mayor and make him realize how petty what he did was. The former mayor took it upon himself to agree to let Sally put up a little commemorative sign. She paid for a flagpole and a base and put a, so he sends the DPW down, the mayor sends the DPW down there to chisel the thing out from the epoxy. It was just a matter of spite. There was no other reason. I really hope you guys will find a way to sit down with the mayor and get him to correct what he did. If he doesn't want any of it, then he should have taken it all down. Because my understanding is that Mrs. Rinker paid for the sign, the flagpole, the base, and the plaque. And it was hurting no one. And again, I think it was just a tit for a tat. And I think the mayor should be above that. I think he should show some discipline and maybe reconsider what he did. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council? If not, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public? Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Council comments.
Yeah, I have a few. This was a very interesting meeting tonight and some very heartfelt statements made by a number of people. Really feel bad for the situation that we're in right now. And others have spoken much more eloquently than I am right now, but it's a tough situation. And the situation with the guns and not being able to use your own yard and feeling that nothing can be done. It just can't go on. I mean, we have a police department. They have to react to them. Just have to. It's wrong. It's wrong. And the other comment that I was gonna make even before this was since the tax bills came out for the revised taxes, the estimated taxes, I guess 9, 10 people have stopped me. And so what are you doing? What's this all about? And so I looked at mine and mine, that's a quarterly bill. And I went to the quarterly bill from the previous year at the same quarter. And it's up on a yearly basis, $1,060. And it's for one reason, the school board. And people still do not understand what reassessments are and what reevaluations are. And they get into the details. And we had meetings on it. We've tried to explain, but I have to say it's 100%, a 9.6% raise on the school board. And if the people in this town don't stand up and don't run for the board, there's 5 empty seats this year. That would be a majority on the board. Just please run for the board. Then you have something to say about it. If you sit back and you do nothing, that'd be like us not even being up here. We put the time in and it's not a lot of time to be on the school board. You have to take control of your own taxes. And with the number of seniors who are now exempt from increases in tax and those that are now exempt because they're disabled veterans, the percentage is all falling on those that are eligible. You're getting killed. And you sit back and say nothing. So it's not to the people in this audience because you're here. But some of you, I know, are eloquent speakers. You're knowledgeable, and please do yourself a favor and get involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Mrs. Bucier.
I have no comments. Thank you.
The issue regarding the firing of a pistol is a difficult. I know it may seem like, why can't we just do something about it? Because certain laws may supersede what we require. And if those conditions are met, then in fact, there is nothing we can do. However, there is something that you can do. And I would say, if you live in this neighborhood, I can't believe that going over and speaking to the individual or asking a police officer to go over with you, if they will do that, or perhaps talking to somebody in the county to provide some assistance in terms of trying to mediate this problem and seeing if there can't be some type of opportunity to sit with the owner of the property. And I think somebody said you didn't know if that was the owner or not. Certainly, I would think that the owner is the one that should be addressed by this because he either permits it or he doesn't. And if in fact, if he's permitting it, then there is an opportunity to see if maybe it can be done only on certain times, only between certain hours, and more importantly, to make sure that the backstop is sufficient enough to handle the rounds being discharged. As far as the sound is concerned, that is perhaps one of the most difficult things for anybody to handle. Because noise ordinances there tend to be imperious, that, you know, people look at them and they say, well, you know, it wasn't that loud. And then you become involved in trying to measure the level of sound. It becomes crazy. So I can only ask that you might see if you can try that. I will look into seeing if there is some type of a mediation situation that can be brought to fore and seeing if that can be helped, to help the situation. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. It's not that it falls on deaf ears. It falls on what we can do. And I too, sir, have grandchildren. And I have 3. They're celebrating their 10th birthday, 11th birthday this year, this very day. 11 years ago today, I received the call from my daughter that they were being born while I was chairing the meeting. So I stand with you, and I would be very, very upset if their lives were placed in jeopardy. So thank you. Mrs. Bucier?
No comments.
No comment? Thank you. Reminder, there will be no meeting in July.
No second meeting.
The second meeting in July.
This meeting never happened.
And the first meeting in August will be held. The second meeting in August is going to be suspended. And we'll back to our normal meeting schedule in September. I know a lot of our people are involved in setting up our meetings, providing necessary information, planning schedules for vacation like yourself. So we try and do this, kind of puts a little more heavier load on the council because a lot of the information, the requirements, certain stuff that we have to do is going to be put on earlier times. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Higgins, seconded by Mrs. Cherry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Wanted to introduce myself. I'm Matt Markovich. I'm a consultant for the